In this lecture, I am going to tell you how we can import data from Excel file to our MySQL database tables in Laravel. I already installed a fresh Laravel project inside my XAMPP Studios tutorial folder, and I opened that project folder in the code editor. I am using Sublime Text, and I created a new database for the project export_import, and I provided the database credentials in our .env file, and then I executed php migrate command from our project root to run the migrations file, and our project is running on localhost 8000 port, and we have these tables inside our database, and I'm going to import user data to our users table from Excel file. Now I'm going to create a controller to handle user import functionalities. So from our project root, I'll open a new terminal, and then I'll create user controller. So let's run php artisan make controller, and then the controller name user controller. Controller created successfully. Now let's open our web.php file to create a new route to display list of users. Route URL will be our base URL /users, and it will execute user controller list method. Because we are using user controller here, we need to import user controller inside our web.php file. So let's open user controller class, and then let's copy the namespace, and then let's use this namespace, and the class name is user controller, and this route is executing users controller list method. So we need to create list method inside our user controller. So let's create a new method inside our user controller called list, and from this list method I'll return a view file, and the view file name will be users.blade.php. So let's provide the file name. We do not need to provide .blade.php because this is a view file we need to create. So let's create the view file under resources views folder, and the file name will be users.blade.php, and for the template I am going to use Bootstrap. So let's search Bootstrap in Google, and then let's click on this link, then get started, and then let's copy the starter template from Bootstrap library, and let's paste the starter code, and then let's remove this comment from this code to add Bootstrap and Popper.js, and then let's change the title to users, and then let's make changes to this h1 text, and we are returning this view file from this list method, which is executing for our user route, right? So let's navigate to our user link. You see we are getting this user text. Now I'm gonna add this code to our user.blade.php file. I already prepared this code. These are Bootstrap classes I'm using here, and I'm gonna use a table to display list of users. So from getbootstrap.com I'm gonna click on this content and then tables, and I will copy the code for tables from here, and then I will provide that code inside this div of class column 12, and inside our users table we have name email field. So I'm gonna display user ID, name and email field. This is not our main focus. Our focus is to import data from Excel file to our users table, right? So we are doing it because we need to display the user data after importing user record from Excel file. That's why we are doing this. These are dummy data. Let's refresh this URL. You see now we are getting user list. Let's add a padding from the top, padding top of 3 or 5. Let's see. Now it looks great. Okay, instead of h1 we can make it to h2 or h3. Okay, now we need to pass list of user data to this user.blade.php view file, right? So I'm gonna get the data with the help of user model. So let's import user model inside our user controller. The namespace for our user model is app/models and the class name is user. Now fetch the list of user data with the help of user model, and I'm gonna store the user data to a variable called $user, and we can get the user data with the help of user model get method, and then I'll pass this user variable to the view file, and this users variable will be available to our user.blade.php view file. Now inside this view file I'm gonna check if count $user. So I'm checking if any user record found, then we're gonna loop each record and will display the user name, email and ID field. And if no data found, then what I will do, I will display a text of no data found. So this will be no data found or no user found. And let's add a call span of 3 to this td, and if any users found, then I'm gonna loop each record. So let's add for each, and inside this for each let's add $users as $user, and let's close the for each loop here. Okay, and we can display the user data here. So the first thing is user ID and then username and then user email, right? Now if I execute this URL, you see we are getting a message no data found because we don't have any records inside our users table, right? Now I'm gonna add a form to upload the Excel file because we need to import data from Excel file to our database tables, right? So from Bootstrap, let's click on this form and then let's click on this form control, and then let's copy. No, I'm not gonna take this code, I'm gonna take this code. Let's copy this code. You can style as per your choice. So I'm adding this form inside this div of class column d12, and then we do not need to add this field. We need only one field of type file, and then I will remove this from here, and I'll remove this plain text, remove this ID and value from here, and I will add a name Excel file, and I will change this text to upload Excel file. Okay, and then I need to add int type multipart slash form data because we are going to add file with this form. So we need to add multipart slash form data here, and I need to change the method of this form to post, and we need to add CSR field because the method of this form is post. That's why we need to pass CSR field along with this Excel file, right? And we need to add action URL to this form. We don't have any action URL now, so let's create action URL for this form. Let's open our web.php file and then let's add another route for the action URL of our import Excel file, import Excel form. So route method will be post and URL will be import underscore user, and it will execute import underscore user method of our users controller. And let's give a name to this route, import underscore user, and then let's provide the action URL to this form, route import underscore user, and need to create import underscore user method inside our user controller. Let's get request object as a dependency injection to this method, and then let's add validation rules for our excel underscore file field, right? So let's add validation rules with the help of request validate, and then let's add validation rules inside this request validate. So I'm going to add validation rules for this excel underscore file, and this should be required, and the MIME type of this field should be XLSX. User need to upload XLSX file, right? Now if I try to submit the form without uploading any file, you see it is redirecting back, but we are not getting any error messages. So to display the error messages, what I will do here, I'll check error, and inside this error I'll provide the file name excel underscore file, and I will close the error here, end error, and if any error occurs, then we will get the error message inside this error block. And I need to write message here, and I will add a class text changer to make the color of this text to red. This is bootstrap class. Now if I try to submit the form without providing any value, you see we are getting the excel file field is required. Let's provide it inside a span tag instead of p tag. Let's add this to the span tag and try to submit the form. Still it is breaking the line. Okay, can we provide this inside, below this button? Of course we can do. Now let's check it. Yeah, now it's fine because we have margin bottom over 3, right? So let's remove this from here. We should get the error message properly now. Okay, let's try to upload image instead of XLSX file. We should get different error message. You see, now we are getting the Excel file must be a file type of XLSX. So our validation is working. Now to import data from Excel file to our MySQL database tables, we need to use a package mat website /excel package. So let's search Laravel Excel in our search engine, and then let's click on this link laravel-excel.com, and then let's click on this documentation, and then let's click on this installation. And to use mat website Excel package, we need to install this package by running this command from our project root. So let's run this command from our project root. This will throw an error in the console because this package needs GD extension enable. So I'm going to enable GD extension in our php.ini file, which is inside our XAMPP PHP folder. Let's find php.ini file, and then let's open the file inside our Notepad++ or any other code editor, and then let's find GD, and then let's remove this semicolon from here and save this file to enable GD extension. And then we need to restart the server because we changed in the php.ini file, and we need to restart the server. Okay, now if I try to install this package from our project root, this will install the package, and this will take some time, so I am pausing the video. I will get back to you after some times. So my website Excel package successfully installed. Now let's check the documentation. What are the next steps to follow. After installing the package, you need to add this inside our app.php file providers array. So let's open app.php file, which is inside our config folder, and then let's add the copied code to our providers array, and then we need to add this code inside our aliases array. So let's copy the code and paste it inside our aliases array. Then we need to run this command php vendor publish to publish the vendor. This will generate excel.php file inside our config folder. Okay, now if I check our config folder, you see we have a new file called excel.php. Now what we need to do, we need to create the import. If I check the documentation, there is a link called imports. If I click on this imports and then let's click on this 5-minute quick start link, you see how we can import the data from Excel file. For that, what we need to do, we need to create a import because we have already installed this MyWebsite package. That's why we can run this command php make import and then the import name, right? So let's run this command from our project root, and in our case we are going to import user data. That's why we are giving the name users import, and we are providing the model user. Okay, let's run this command. This will generate a new folder inside our app folder. You see we have a new folder imports, and inside this imports we have a new import file users import.php, right? And then what we need to do, we need to generate the user data to our users table. We'll get list of user data to this $row. Okay, so if I copy this code and paste inside our code, so if we upload a sample Excel SX file which I created for this tutorial, you see I already created this file users.excelSX file. Okay, and inside this file we have two users record. You see in the first column we have name, second column we have email, and then we have password. And if we upload this user Excel file, then we'll get the user data inside this $row variable, and we are generating the data. We are storing the user record to our users table with the help of user model here. Okay, and we are getting the username in the 0 index, and we are getting user email in the first index, and we are getting user password in the second index. Okay, now what we need to do, we need to call this user import from our user controller. So how we can call this user import from our user controller? So first of all we need to import this user import to our user controller. So let's use our user import here, and the class name is user import, right? And then let's check the documentation. We need to use this Excel here, and then what we need to do, we need to call Excel : import, and then we need to call our import here, and then we need to provide the file here. So we can get the file with the help of request file object, and the file name we are uploading is excel underscore file, right? So let's provide excel underscore file here, and after actually this will upload the file, and inside this user import we are storing the user data to our users table with the help of user model. Okay, and after importing user data we are going to return the user back to user list page. So I'll write return it direct back with success message, user successfully imported, user successfully imported. Okay, and we need to display the message inside our user.blade.php file. So I'm going to display the message inside this div of class column d12. So let's add a condition here. If session has success, right? And then let's call the end if, and then we can display the message in bootstrap alert. So we can get the alert design from bootstrap. So let's copy this design from bootstrap and paste it here, and instead of this message what we can do, we can display the success message. So let's add session get success. Okay, save this file, and then let's import user data. Let's import the sample CSV file I have created for this course. Okay, now let's input the file here, upload. We're getting some error. Yeah, we need to change something inside our user import, because we are using hash here. We need to import hash at the top of our user import. Now let's upload the file again. Let's upload our users.xlsx file. You see, now we're getting the success message at the top, and we have these two records inside our users table. Okay, so we successfully imported user data from Excel file to our MySQL database tables in Laravel. And now I'm going to tell you some advanced thing inside this import method. Okay, if I check the documentation, and let's say inside your Excel file you have header at the top. Okay, something like this. Suppose you have header inside your XLSX file. So let's insert a new row, and then let's add header name, email, and then password. Then if you try to import this file, this data will be inserted inside your record. So for this, what you will do? For this, what you need to do, we need to click on this heading row, and then what we need to do, we need to implement this with heading row. So first of all, what I will do, I will copy this code, and inside our user import I will paste this code, and then we need to implement this with heading row. And if I implement this with heading row for our import, then we can get the data instead of this 0, 1, 2 index. We can get the data with the help of name, email, and password. Okay, so let's provide name, and then email, and then password. Now if I try to execute this, we'll get error because this data already exists, and our email field is unique, right, throughout our users table. That's why we'll get error. So let's delete all the records from our users table and let's try to upload the file again. Now we are uploading the users.xlx file. Let's check that I have already saved that file. Yeah, I saved that file. Now we are uploading the file with the heading. Let's upload. You see, we have successfully uploaded the user data with heading. Now if we try to handle the validation error messages for these fields, how we can implement this? So let's check the documentation. Let's click on this row validations, because if you see our users table, this email field is unique, right? So we cannot upload duplicate email to our users table. Now if I try to upload the file again, let's see what is happening. We'll get error messages. You see, we're getting error because duplicate entry inside our users table email field, right? So we cannot upload same email inside our users table. So how we can add validation rules during import from Excel file in Laravel? So what we'll do, we'll copy this code from here with validation and we'll paste this inside our imports, and then we need to implement with validation. Don't forget to implement this for validations, and this needs to be implemented for with heading row. Okay, and then what we need to do, we need to add a method called rules inside our imports, and then what we need to do, we need to add the field name. So our name field should be required. So let's add validation rules required, and if you want to add any other validation rules, you can add like this way, and then you need to provide start.name because we are going to add validation rules for all the rows, right? That's why we are adding this. Should also be required. Okay, and your email field should also be required. So let's add email, and it should be required and should be unique to the users table. Let's pass unique users. Also this should be valid email address. You can provide the rules like this way. Okay, also if you want to provide validation rules for the password field, you can add validation rules for the password field here also. Let's provide password here, and our password field should be required. If you want, you can provide minimum and max length for the password. If you wish to add, you can add this. Now I'm going to tell you how we can handle the error messages. So we added the validation rules, okay, but how we can handle the error messages? So for this, what we can do, let's check handling validation errors, right? So inside our controller, we need to add try catch block. So let's open a try catch block here, and then inside this try block, what I'll do, I'll cut this code from here and I'll provide the code inside this try block, and let's move this also inside this try block. So if our import is successful, then we'll return the user back to users link with a success message. But if any validation error occurs from the imports, from this import, then what we can get, we can get list of errors to this $failures. Okay, and what I will do, I will comment out this lines of code, and if any validation error occurs, then I'll return the user back to back to users list page with flash message validations or import errors, import underscore errors. Okay, and data will be these $failures. Okay, now before returning the user, if I dump and die this failures, let's see what we are getting. Now if I try to upload the same Excel SX file again, let's see what we are getting. You see, now we are getting the error messages in this array. Okay, so what we can do, we can simply check inside our user.blade.php file for these import errors. So what I will do, I will check. So let's check that inside this div of column d12. So inside this div of column d12, I will check session has this import errors, and then let's close this end div here, and then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start a for each loop here. So let's copy the for each loop from here and then paste it here, and then let's close the for each loop, and instead of $users, what I'll do, I'll loop session get import users at, let's check the documentations of this, as failure. Okay, as $failure, and then you can simply we can simply display the error inside bootstrap alert. So we are displaying the error here, we are displaying the error here. So what we can do, instead of alert success, we can add alert danger, and this should be the data you want to display. So whatever data you want to display, whatever the error you want to display, you can display here. So failure, and then suppose you want to display the row number, then you can add $failure row, and suppose you want to display the exact error, this will be an array. So I'm going to display the first error, so I'll provide 0 index at line number this. Now let's try to upload the file again. Okay, I forget to remove the dump and die from the controller, that's why it is not redirecting back with the flash message. So let's try to upload the file again. You see, now we are getting the email has already been taken at line number 2. Okay, so we are successfully displaying the error messages. So that's it for importing data from Excel file to our MySQL database tables in Laravel. In the next lecture, I am going to export data from MySQL database tables to a Excel SX file. Okay, so stay connected.